This episode, tips and tricks on installing a Tremec on a dual disc clutch with a hydraulic throwout bearing. All things you need to know about no matter what clutch you have. Let's go. Welcome back to Fast Monty's Garage. Last episode, if you missed it, we installed this high torque mini starter and I showed you how important it was to consider getting the model that has the 75 thousandths removed off the mounting plate from Butler Performance. Click that I right there if you missed it, because obviously the bell housing's not in the car, the transmission's not in the car, and I was able to film how that starter engages the flywheel. That's actually pretty cool. So check it out when you can. Moving forward here, we obviously have to put everything back together, and I've decided to also make it a hat contest. So stay tuned for the rules on that in a second, but this video will help all of you out with installing any transmission or any clutch, because I'm going to go through all the torque requirements you need for the flywheel, the clutch, bell housing, transmission, etc. Okay? Now, it's even more important if you have a Tremec, a dual disc clutch, and a hydraulic throwout bearing, which is what I have. It makes installing transmission the hardest, and I have a tip to help you guys out if you have that combo. Even if you have none of those combos, I have another tool that you're going to want to see if you're not aware of it to help you out. So we're going to get into that in a minute. Now, the rules of the hat contest. You need to guess how long it takes me to put everything back together. The flywheel, the clutch, the bell housing, the transmission, the drive shaft, my X-pipe. That final number you have to guess in the comment section of this video without going over the final time, which I will release next video. So that is the game. Again, one of 3 hats you can pick from: the black one on my head, black and gray, or red. And if you want to buy one, those links are below too. Hats, Full Monty Club, etc. So having said all that, thanks for hanging out. Subscribe if you haven't. Got a ton of cool projects coming up. And speaking of cooling, it's related to electric fans. So with all that said, let's get under the car and start putting the flywheel on. Flywheel, 95 foot-pounds. And if you have a Pontiac, I would highly recommend these ARP bolts. They're shorter and they're also flatter. Depending on your clutch, when we get to it, you're going to want to check that your springs don't touch those bolts. I learned the hard way. Let's get the first plate on. Oh, before I forget, when you go to tighten these, this is going to want to turn. I would use a breaker bar on your front crank bolt resting on the ground. So when you go to tighten it, it actually holds the crank in place. There you go. That's how you do it solo. Okay, before you put your disc on, got to get one of these alignment tools, but do not use these pieces of garbage. Get yourself a steel one. I know a couple different manufacturers now make billet versions. This one came from Silver Sport, so hit them up. It's probably not online. You have to give them a call. And when you talk to Shane, tell him Monty said hi. So that's what we're going to use. It's a perfect fit in the bearing. Obviously clean this with brake cleaner before you put your disc on. There we go. There's first disc of a twin disc install. On a ram clutch, the outer 6 bolts are shoulder bolts. You see that shoulder? It fits in a precise bore in there, and there are different holes. So if you have this on the bench, it's best to do it. Mock it up on the bench, then mark each hole with a Sharpie. So when you put it in, you know exactly which hole to use, because there's multiple holes depending on what flywheel you have. So read the instructions. And these guys get thread locker, and you torque them down to 32 foot-pounds. When you're done with those 6 bolts, make sure they are below the surface here, because remember that shoulder? If it misses that inner shoulder, it will protrude and it will cause wreak havoc on you. So make sure those are recessed below the surface. Second disc, springs out. Remember, we're going to fully push on our alignment tool so it's straight in while we tighten the pressure plate. Pressure plate time. 6 bolts on a ram, it's 26 foot-pounds. On a standard clutch, ironically, I think it's around 25. So read your instructions. Now, the most important thing here is you go in a star crisscross fashion when you're tightening, hand tight, because I want you to get to the point where you can still move the shaft around a tiny bit, but it stays in position when you move it. Because if you have a Tremec and a dual disc clutch this is going to be an important thing. So go ahead and get your bell housing and mock it up over this. Ready for some math time? Here we go. Now, those of you with a Tremec, or did it yourself, or acquired a car with a Tremec, the bell housing is typically offset a certain amount to make sure the Tremec is within 5 thou concentricity of the crank. Yeah, so what that means is if this shaft is off 20 thousandths, the matching boss on the transmission will not fit in this big hole. So here's the measurement of this bore, it's 4685. If you measure the transmission, it's probably 4680. 5 thou difference, so it's like almost a slip fit to get in this hole. So if you're off 20 thousandths, which is not much, it's like the tip of the screwdriver, that will not fit in here. Yeah, ask me how I know. So that math wasn't mathing. I ended up just going around and figuring out what the actual measurement is, or is the same all the way around. And for me, it is 1785. So I can get the calipers in on all angles. Perfect. Now, gently take this off without disturbing that. Tighten the pressure plate, then you can put this on. Hey, don't forget, before you put that bell housing on, make sure you can easily insert and remove your alignment pin. Very good, let's go. So these back bolts, all the bell housing bolts, frankly, 40 foot-pounds, you can put a little oil on there, engine oil, but the hard part is getting these top ones. The trick is you put a jack on the front and just jack up the front of the engine a little bit so it tilts backwards, and you're good. There we go. Man, that alignment is so critical. Thank God it worked the first time. All right, 4 bolts, 50 foot-pounds. And if you guys noticed, when I was putting it in and it kind of hung up just for a second, if you have that problem and you can't get it fully seated and you have a manual transmission, mechanical I should say, you can have someone push on the clutch lightly to free up the discs, and that will allow you to move the transmission a little bit and then get it in the bearing. If you have a hydraulic clutch, you cannot do that, which is what I have. That's why you have to do that math thing I was talking about that didn't quite math out, but I figured it out with the calipers. So next step, the clock keeps going. I got to put everything back together. Let's see who wins that hat. Let's go. And the piece de resistance. Yes, my oil pan protection plate that I designed. If you guys haven't seen it, a couple videos on it below. There are links below where you can buy one for yourself if you have a 64 through 72 GMA body. FastMonty'sGarage.com. Go check it out. My new shrouds are up there on that website too. But you can actually get this drop shipped from SendCutSend. Again, those links are on my website or below. If you have an oil pan hanging down below the crossmember, I highly recommend you get one. Look at the hits I've already taken. This one was I hit a part of my jack on my lift, which I forgot to retract. Thank God this was here, otherwise I would have put a hole in the oil pan. Yikes. Let's go stop the clock, see where we're at. I'm not going to show you the time, are you kidding me? You got to wait till next video. So good luck on the hat contest, and I did decide the next video is going to be installation or testing of this new fan I was made aware of. This is a ProForm 14-inch brushless fan. We're going to compare it to my current 14-inch Spall fans. Full CFM testing, full load test with CFM, amp draw, the works. So the 7 of you that lasted this long in the video, you're going to enjoy the next one. So again, thanks for hanging out. Until next time, build them fast, drive them faster. See ya.